Sutra on opening the Dharma. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is rarely encountered, even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see everybody again. Who was I talking to? It's you, Kathy, about how long?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll talk louder. Anyway, it's apparently at least 2 months. My God, it's amazing. I had asked Jeff his name. I didn't know. I'm going to talk about Zazen in two weeks, this week and again, actually I'm going to be away next week, so the following week. And Zazen is a subject that just Zazen, there are numbers of books written about it. So this is going to be like the inner page of a book. But it's just a sample of Zazen, how I sort of see Zazen, and just to bring it up again, because for me, there is no Zen practice without Zazen. And, in giving talks and reading, you guys as well, some of the key concepts of Zen, is oneness, is emptiness, is impermanence, all of which are, of course, extraordinarily important. But those things are just concepts. Emptiness, impermanence, they're just concepts. And these concepts, the concept of oneness, all these concepts are brought to life when we sit. It's like being in the mist when you take your seat. Slowly over time, you start to realize you're getting wet. And that's sort of how Zazen works. And the wetter you get, the more clear these things that we talk about become. And the more they become part of who we are. And they become, in a sense, heartfelt. The heart opens in the process of doing this. So the practice of Zazen is simple and it's direct, and there's nothing extra. It's just simply sitting, following your breath, counting your breath, sitting and just sitting, working with the koan. All these are forms of how to do Zazen. But in the end, there is no Zazen. There is no simple and direct. It's just one breath, second breath. But we're not counting, we're just breathing. Unless you've been instructed to count. And that's the way to enter into Zazen. So usually the way Zazen works is, in this particular lineage, most students will start off by counting the breath. And that is the practice that gets you familiar, which connects you with breathing. And, it usually starts out, the in-breath is 1, the out-breath is 2, the in-breath is 3, the out-breath is 4. And when you get to 10, you start over again. Now, a lot of this is the second talk I'm going to give we'll go into this in more detail, but that's sort of like it is. And as you go along, eventually you give up counting and you just are with the breath, so it's like comes in and goes out. That's it. Just watching that present moment of breathing. And so that's just a little taste of how Zazen works and how we take it up in the beginning. Now, Dogen, for those of you who may not be familiar with him, he's a famous Zen master and Chinese Zen master. And he is often quoted, and his teaching can get confusing sometimes. But the more we sit, the clearer we understand what it is that he's teaching. But anyway, this is a quote by Dogen. Zazen is to live each moment in complete combustion, like a kerosene lamp, like a candle. To live each moment in complete combustion, like a kerosene lamp, like a candle. And in a sense, what he's saying, if you do this faithfully, the you, the identity, is like smoke, just so we go up in smoke if we sit long enough. So Zazen is both a means to realize the way, and it's also the way, it's part of the way of living the insights that we get from sitting, living those out in the world. And I came across this somewhere, I don't remember anymore, but it was described as like seeing. We have two eyes, but when we see, we don't experience it as two eyes seeing, right? It's the experience of just seeing. It's not a left eye, not a right eye. Now, if something happens to one or the other eyes, it disturbs seeing. It disturbs the clarity. And we wind up traditionally needing glasses. So Zazen, in a sense, is our glasses. It helps us to see life clearly. Now, there's another aspect of Zazen about the practice of Zazen. And sometimes it's written or said, or somebody will say that we practice to attain the way, right? This comes up many times in the literature of Zen. We practice Zazen to attain the way, to attain enlightenment. But the idea of attainment, of getting something, can be a very big obstacle in practicing Zazen. And that's because there's nothing to attain. We start off thinking we're going to get enlightenment. We're going to change our life around and all that, right? Well, that gets in the way. Getting caught in that kind of thinking takes our attention out of the present moment and up into our head. So there's nothing to attain. Zazen is revelatory. It reveals who we already are. We realize that we're just simply here right now. There's nothing to attain. But it reveals our true nature, who we are. How many of you wear glasses? Oh, good, wonderful, you'll appreciate this. Well, one of the things that happens in our household is we both wear glasses, and a very frequent question is, Faye, have you seen my glasses? Yeah, I think I saw them in the living room on the, so it's a very common thing, right? And one day, I don't think Faye was around, and I couldn't find my glasses. So I went out to the car because I figured if I can't see them here, they weren't in the car. I went upstairs, checked the bedrooms. I went downstairs to the small Zen. I couldn't find my glasses. And so I sat down and I thought, well, I'm just going to have to surrender because I'm just not going to be able to find these glasses, and I'm not going to make myself crazy trying to find them. And so I guess I got up to go into another room, but there's a mirror along the way. And as I pass, I look in the mirror and they're right here. So that's like Zazen, right? We don't know where our glasses are. But all of a sudden, that intuition, that just, and there it is. There are my glasses. There is who I am. It reveals our oneness with life. But it wasn't, when I gave up the process of the intention to attain something, to attain my glasses, when I surrendered, there's my glasses. You know, it's very simple. Takes a long time maybe, but that's the practice. Just keep practicing over and over and over again. And you know, the other thing is that I think it's misunderstood is that this process isn't you sit and boom, there's this big enlightenment and the world has changed. A lot of times, like I said, it's like the mist, slowly, and every now and then you get, ooh, you just sort of catch a glimpse of something in a different way. And after a while, these glimpses start to open the door to something more. But don't worry about, you know, sitting for a year and you're not enlightened, you know, that some of us could sit for 10 years until that kind of thing happens. But during the way, there are these little insights that happen, but don't look to attain them. So Zazen reveals the truth of who we already are, who we have been all along, and it reveals the oneness that we have, that we are with life. Now, my old friend Dogen also said, this is another quote, to realize the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 things. To realize the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by 10,000 things. And we are all the 10,000 things and have been all along. So the 10,000 things is really an expression of life, of the universe. And each one of us is part of the, you know, we're one of the 10,000, which is really a metaphor. So if you're 10,001, don't worry, you're not going to be left out. It keeps going if necessary. So we're the 10,000 things, and we've been so all along. And the 10,000 things include everything without preference, and that includes ourselves. No one is left out. Now here's a haiku. Covered in bird poop, the garden Buddha waits for rain. Covered in bird poop, the garden Buddha waits for rain. So if we hold no preference, you and I realize that we are the garden Buddha, we are poop, and we are everything else. We realize that 10,000 things, the Buddha is life, bird poop is life, you and I are life. No thing, no one is left out. And this experience is the gift that Zazen offers. Now there are three attributes, three aspects of ourselves that help with learning to sit, learning to do Zazen. And along the way, if we can develop these attributes, it helps us to practice. So we take every opportunity to cultivate them. And the other thing is that I often say is we don't have to do this alone. We don't do Zazen alone. We don't cultivate the aspects that I'm going to mention. The Sangha is a group that we support each other. Even if we don't talk to each other, just being here on a Sunday morning, this collective energy supports the practice of Zen. We support each other sitting in Zazen without saying a word. So the three aspects that just fell into my lap somehow. The first is great faith. And great faith means believing that you are complete and that you lack nothing, no matter what anybody ever told you. Right? You're complete just as you are. The practice reveals that completeness. It lifts all the veils of conditioning that have been set up in front of us, right? To make us feel bad about ourselves, to elevate us in some kind of like we're better than anybody else. All of those veils go away, they fade away, and we see who we really are, the truth of who we really are. And that's wonderful. Especially if you've had some of these very difficult veils that you saw life through. It's nice to have those start to vanish. And so that's one of the aspects that if you have the opportunities in daily life to understand that we are complete and that we lack nothing. And that's something that we can do for each other here in the Zendo. So there's great faith. The second is great doubt. And great doubt is not knowing. It's beyond words, it's without opinions. And if we soften our grip on our opinions, on our truths, it will help us realize who we really are. It also means softening our grip on the stories that we create, that define who we are. These stories that we've made up through various life experiences. And we think that we are the story. And so, in a way, it's good to start to doubt the story. Don't be so sure that you're that story. And this will free us to realize, as I've been saying, who we really are. And I don't know where I got this quote, but the quote is, "If we doubt fully, we will awaken fully." And then the third one is great determination. And determination turns toward rather than away. And it's not an egocentric determination, like, watch me, I'm going to be, that kind of thing. You're going to stand out amongst other people. But it's a very simple, subtle turning toward rather than away from. It doesn't shy away from what's difficult. It's steady and confident, and it seeks, again, nothing. Now, one of the ways that these characteristics get developed is by coming to the Zendo, like I said, but it's having relationships, sometimes having good friends is very helpful in seeing beyond who we think we are. And, everybody, not everybody, but many of us have been through psychotherapy. And as we go through that healing process of these psychological issues that we hold or have the traumas we've gone through, as those get healed, it actually helps our Zazen. And the other side, our Zazen actually helps us to do that work. So it goes back and forth. So that's, what is it called when you open a book and there's that little thing that goes down and it's a description of the book or the,
Table of contents?
What's-
The forward?
well, here's the book, right?
Oh, the little inner
And
sleeve.
down the side, there's like a book.
Right.
And so the book is like this. Talk about veils. I can't.
Jacket.
The jacket?
The jacket. Yes. So I'd like to consider this talk as the jacket of a book on Zazen. So I encourage you, like I say, there's tons of books around. Read one, right? You don't have to get a master's degree in Zazen, but read one just to get a taste in more detail of Zazen. And then, not next week because I'll be away, but the following week, I want to talk about the actual physical practice of Zazen, how to take up the position, how to deal with thoughts, posture, all the different things. Now, this is a place where I'm going to act. How many people here do yoga? Oh, wonderful. So you'll be able to help me in terms of posture. And yeah, well, since I can no longer sit on the floor, I can show you how to sit in a chair, which is not, there's a certain way to do it, to take up the experience. But there's, I forget what the first position is when you're on the floor, but no leg is on top of the other. And then there's a half lotus, the full lotus. They're sitting in Sensei, where you put the cushion like this and you sit on the cushion. If I scream, it's because I shouldn't be doing this, but you sit on the cushion like this, and that's called Sensei. And I think that's it, right? And then another part, it's usually considered as separate, but I think it's part of it, part of Zazen, it just has a different name, and that's Kinhin. We'll learn how to walk in Kinhin physically, and what is our attention placed on. So that'll also be, the inside jacket on the other side of the book. So what I'd like, for the practice circle, if you have any questions or anything you want to say or any experiences, feel free. We can talk about it and see where it goes. Okay. As always, thank you for listening.
Thank you.